Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. As ever, you can find me on Instagram at the House of Langford and at Overall Sews. I'm also on Ravelry at Maddison, which is pretty much just where I record all my finishes and my whips and pattern surf. Other than that, I am on Facebook at the House of Langford as well. There is a group attached to that Facebook page, which is the House of Langford's Wear It, Share It, which is a place for people who have purchased stuff from me before or done any lessons with me before, can post in that group, and it's just like a little mini community. Big things are happening here that I'm not necessarily comfortable with, and there's a lot of change going on. Yeah. But I will speak a bit more about that towards the end in terms of life stuff. Some of you already know, which is fine, but I wanted to come on here and talk to the rest of you. And if you're new here, hi! I'm usually a bit more bubbly than this, I think. More bubbly? I don't know. Can there be more bubbly? Anyway, this is my little corner of the internet. It is a monthly podcast sharing what I have been up to, what I've made, my finishes, my whips, my acquisitions for that month. Generally, I am multi-craftual because I am a textiles teacher. I am based in Thurrock, Essex, with my husband and my 18-year-old son. The dynamics of that are going to change, but again, I'll explain later. It's a bit weird, let's just put it that way, and it's going to be very difficult for all of us involved, but we will push on through and keep going. And if there is any noise in the background, it's because I have my windows open for the first time in about 6 months in this room, because it's been rather warm the last few days. So it is May the 1st, which means I need to round up April for 2023. So I have my list. I have the plans that I wrote for last time as well. And I have not been well for the last week or so, maybe longer. This month, there's a lot that's happened this month. So to begin with, we had April half term, which was Easter half term. So I did my Easter vlogs for those 2 weeks, and I did a 24-hour crochet challenge. I think I was a bit mad to try and do it at my age. I found out that I cannot stay up for 24 hours anymore, as a mid-30s. Yeah. Anyway, so generally I am multi-craftual. However, recently I have been focusing a lot more on crochet because, well, I love it. So, you know, there's a lot of crochet going on here. I do have some knitting projects that I really should be working on, but as I said, I love crochet, so that's what takes priority at the moment. And I'm trying to work through my stash most of the time. I have, back in, this episode is going to be all hickety-pickety, but I hope you can bear with me because there is some good stuff to show you. Yeah, so before the new year, I did a whip audit. I went through all my whips, pulled them all out, talked about what they were, what my plans were for that project, and wrote a list. Now, I had 26 whips before New Year. I have finished a few, but I have started more. So I think my number is still 26, if not more. Yes, anyway, so for anyone who was worried or wondering, I had lost half of a whip, and I have now found that half of a whip. So you may remember I made a Pokemon blanket in 2021 for my son, which looks like a Game Boy and has Charizard in the computer screen bit, and it wasn't big enough for him, so I started making extra pieces to go around outside, and I started doing the Pokemon logo, so the word Pokemon across the top, but when I came to do the audit, I couldn't find it. Anyway, long story short, I have found that piece and I can see it now. So that's one of the things I want to try and work on this year, and maybe he'll get that for this Christmas instead, or maybe even his birthday, because that is earlier. So we will see. Okay, let's actually get into the episode properly, shall we? Because I've been talking for about 5 minutes now, and that can be quite boring. So, what were my plans for April? My plans were, got my notes, to finish the Lucky Puppy blanket, to complete my 24-hour crochet challenge, and to start the Zuri blanket, which is Tunisian crochet. I can now say that I did the 24-hour crochet challenge, because I just mentioned it, and I have started the Zuri blanket. I am on square 4, and there are currently 9 squares out, so I need to finish square 4 this week, and then start square 5 on Saturday. Now, I am working on this with a couple of ladies at the shop. So they are learning Tunisian crochet and I'm helping them, but it means that I get to work alongside them for this blanket as well. So if they get stuck, then I am available to help. Yeah. Now, I have ticked off that I have completed the Lucky Puppy blanket. But what I have done is completed the bit that I needed to do for the test, which is the main part of the blanket. So it doesn't have a border. But we'll talk about that later between whips and finishes, because it's kind of in the middle. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? So, let's look at my finishes for April. So, if you have watched the 24-hour crochet challenge, you'll know that I finished 3 items. And those are the first 3 things I'm going to show you. So, I have a turquoise pumpkin, made in Big Value DK from King Cole. It uses almost a whole ball of yarn because they're 50-gram balls. So turquoise is the main colour and koala is for the stalk. I adapted the pattern. So basically I followed the Bella Coco tutorial on how to make a pumpkin, but I have changed how many stitches you need and how many rows you need to make different size pumpkins. And then I have added in this sort of cinching technique around the outside to make it look a bit more stylized, I guess. Yeah, so I have 1 large turquoise pumpkin. There may be more pumpkins, even though it's not October. However, I did say last year, I did mention maybe I need to do a pumpkin in between projects so that I build up my stash of pumpkins, because they take a while to make, actually. It's surprising how much crocheting is required to make a pumpkin. Even a little one. So, not sure what's going to happen with that. It's going to go into my box of crochet makes. So, that may go up for sale in October time, or September time. Yeah, so that might be available later in the year. I have a pumpkin. Then I also finished, I made a granny square bag. None of the ends are woven in. But I made some just basic granny squares, all in one colour. The changing of colour is from the yarn cake I used. And I had 11. So when I went back into my whip bag for the 24-hour challenge, I had 11 squares, and to make a bag you need 13, so I just whipped up 2 more. Slip stitched it all together in a zigzag pattern so that I could try and get as much done, as much joined together in one go as possible. And then I've just gone all the way around with double crochets to make this little border bit and the handles, which is quite sweet. And I think it already has a new owner. So, but I wanted to put it on the podcast first before it goes off to said new owner. So, yeah. Like I said, none of the ends are woven in. I've got so many ends in there. But, yeah, it's a cute little bag. It's not my usual style, but I wanted to use up the squares and not waste them. So, it is now a little bag. So that's 2 items from my 24-hour crochet challenge. I have 1 more item left. Now, when I finished the crochet challenge, this didn't have any features on it. I just had the C2C section done. So I have since added the eyes and the facial features. So hopefully you can now guess who it is. I did order pom-poms for this, which I'll talk about later. But in the description, it listed the white pom-poms as white, and when they arrived they've actually got black tips, so I'm not sure I'm going to put it on here. But anyway, I have made a C2C scarf, and it has a character's face on it. Basically, I saw one and thought I can make that, so I thought I'd have a go. It's just 7 squares along, and I think it's 5 up. Or no, it might be more than that. It might be 9 across and 7 up. It's definitely 7 up. Yeah, so I've made Grinch. But does he need like eyebrows or something? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, what I did was just used leftovers of the lipstick. I just kept going until I ran out of yarn, basically. And because I wanted it to look like his hat, I've just left it as a point rather than squaring it off. And then I'm going to put a pom-pom on the end here. And it does wrap. It's now adult size. I was aiming to do like a child size. But it does now wrap. So, yeah. The Grinch has come early. So I have used Deramores Studio DK for the green, and then I had some white Stylecraft Special DK, and this is lipstick in Stylecraft Special DK. And then the yellow for his eyes is Citron in Stylecraft Special, and I don't know if the black is the DK, the Stylecraft DK, or just a random one I had in my stash, but yes. I'm rather pleased with him. I do have another one that just currently has the green and the white, so I need to find some more red to do his hat section. But I'm pleased with how it turned out. It is longer than I thought it was going to get, so that's always a bonus. I have twisted it. Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen to this. Again, it may end up on my stall towards Christmas time. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, another finish completed in the 24-hour challenge. Right, the last finish, because I'll talk about the Lucky Puppy in a minute. The last finish that I have is actually a bag that I hand painted at work. So it says Yarn Stash. Now, it was meant to have a white sheep with a black face, but I put the black down on his wool, so now I have a black sheep, but that's fine. I really like it. It's really cute. Yeah, so I ran this as a wellbeing workshop at my new school just before half term. No, it was the very beginning of April, that's why you haven't seen it. So what I had managed to do is I painted the sheep, but she had no eyes or nose or anything. And I managed to paint Stash during that session because we ran over. We ended up doing a double session, but that's absolutely fine. And then the other day I decided to sit down and just finish it off. So I painted in yarn at the top and filled in her facial features. And I think she's really cute. Now, originally I hadn't planned to paint the middles of these, but when I did end up painting them, because I dropped my paintbrush, I figured I would make them into little yarn balls, but I don't think it needs it now. I think it's quite nice. So, yeah, I'm very pleased with this one, and it's all been heat set, so I'm hoping that when I wash it, the pencil lines will come out, and it'll be a nice bag to use for one of my next projects. So I didn't make the tote bag. I already had these pre-bought, just because I thought that would be easier. But yeah, I quite enjoy painting. I don't do it very often, but when I do, it works out quite nicely. So yeah, it's another project bag. I am tempted to make some for friends of mine, but I don't know how long that's actually going to take me. So at the minute, I just have the one, but I'm rather pleased with it. Right, okay, so I may have to push my camera back for this because I'm going to show you the Lucky Puppy blanket. Now, I've put this kind of in a finish steel whip section. Let's call it a half finished object. Let's call it a half O. Yes, so for the test, all I needed to do was actually crochet the 4 rows, the 4 sections to get to the right size and check the pattern. Or check the graph. So I was checking the graph. I have made this in Stylecraft Special DK in gingerbread, which is this one, and cream, which I've just knocked on the floor. So that is all I have left from 4 balls, which is quite good. I don't think I used very much of the 4th one, but again, I do still need to do the border. This is what I have left of the cream. Now, as I was sort of finishing it up and working from this last ball, I found a little tiny ball sitting in the bottom of my bag. So that is also in here, which is the end of a previous ball. So there's maybe half, if not a little bit more, of the cream left. So people have been giving me their leftover cream of the Stylecraft DK because we haven't been able to get any in the shop, so that I can do the border on this blanket because it takes a lot of yarn. You'd be surprised how much yarn it takes to go around a border, but I'm doubling it up. So I'm going to do an envelope border, so a back border and then a front border. But I don't know whether I want to put like a mini pattern in it. I mean, I could try and do little hearts. So that makes a little heart there. I was thinking maybe bones, but actually there are quite a few rows. I don't want to do that many rounds of border. So anyway, here is the blanket. I am going to push my table back because I need you to see it. It is 4 rows high, 3 squares along. And I finished this during the 24-hour crochet challenge. So I have 1 row of adult doggies at the top with the paw print in the middle. Then I have 1 row of puppies, again with the paw print. I have a 2nd row of puppies, and then finally at the bottom I have an adult row of doggies. So I will go outside and get a decent picture because it is nice and sunny out now. We had a bit of rain this morning. Well, lunchtime. I wasn't up this morning. Yeah, so I'm going to try and get a nice picture of it. I have all of the ends here. Now this is why I'm going to do a border. Because when you do an envelope border, you don't have to cut off, you don't have to weave in any of the ends, you just cut them so they're a bit shorter and they all get hidden in that border. So I think I'm going to do a couple of rows of gingerbread and then alternate between cream, gingerbread, cream and end on gingerbread. I don't know if I want to end on cream. So I'm really hoping I have enough yarn. I might do the front border first before I do the back border, just to make sure I've got enough yarn, because I don't want to get another ball for this. But yeah, so the pattern is by Robin Parent, who is crochet.with.may. Let me bring the table forward. So there we go, that's better. It is Mosaic Crochet, and you can basically make this pattern up in any order you like, in any colours you like. What she does is she gives you printouts, several printouts of, you get lots of boxes that are the paw print, lots of boxes for the puppies, lots of boxes for the dogs, so you can lay them out in any configuration you like. Now I have done this in DK using a 4mm hook. Some of the other testers were doing it in Aran yarn, with a 3mm hook. That doesn't sound right, but I think that is right. Unless it's Aran weight with a 5mm hook. I don't remember. Anyway, yes. The pattern has now been released. It was released yesterday. Because today is release date. So, yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It's not my kind of blanket, but when I saw it, that it was Mosaic Crochet, and it's overlay Mosaic Crochet, I wanted to have a go and test it, because I haven't tested a blanket before. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the process, and it takes under 8 balls of yarn for a blanket, so I think that's a win-win really. And what I will say is she has quite a lot of different patterns. So there's one that's got cats on it, one that has horses, and it's just a nice selection of patterns really. I like the fact that you can do this any width, any height, just by adding more cubes together effectively. Now this is more like a single size, because it's, yeah, I would consider this a single bed size here in the UK. So I mean, it's taller than me. Is it taller than me? No, it's not taller than me. Anyway, I will get some decent pictures and pop them up for you. It is kind of a finish. It just needs a border. So you'll probably see it again once I've done the border, but obviously it will be less of me waffling and just me showing it to you, because it'll be completely done then. But yeah, adult dogs and puppies. I am so happy it is done. I have quite a few ends to weave in at the back though. So yeah, I am very pleased with this blanket. Right, so here we go into whips. Right, so during the 24-hour crochet challenge, I finished those 3, finished the blanket, and needed something else to work on in the time because I still had hours left. So I picked out a project from my whip list, and I tried to pick an easy one. So something I didn't need to concentrate on, but still had like interest to it. So I picked up my Granny Rocks jumper, which only had a few rows at the bottom. I think I got to here, but I was doing, every row was changing colour, and to be honest I didn't like it. It's as simple as that. I couldn't work out which end I was working from, so I pulled it back to the first dark row and then continued working up. Now I have worked on this a couple of other days as well. So this is the back panel, and it's got like Wednesday vibes going on here. I have got pink sparkly yarn at the bottom, which is actually just from Poundland. I have a few of those, so I know I've got enough to do the... I'm only using it on cuffs and collars and the rib at the bottom, so one ball should be enough, but we'll see. But yes, it is striping. I'm doing 2 rows of each colour. I'm working from 2 different yarn cakes, which are kind of in bits now in my bag, because one of them went from white straight into the black, so I had to stop, cut it, and I'm using the lighter of the 2 to do my light stripes, and then the darker of the 2 to do my dark stripes at the moment. I do have more of this yarn, so I know that I'm not going to run out as such, and I'm trying to keep all of my ends to one side so that it's a bit easier to weave them in later. Yeah, so the yarn is actually from Turkey. It is from Lolly's Little Wool Shack, who would import rainbow cakes from Turkey. They're meant to look like the mandala yarn cake from Lion Brand, and I have quite a lot of them. I think I need to go quite far with this. I think I need 71 rows. 2, 4, 6, 8. I have 44 rows at the moment, and the pattern says 71. This is the back panel, so that's probably about right actually for me. Yeah, so I'd like to get this one finished this month, at least the back panel anyway, and then I can move on to the front and the sleeves. It's just granny stitch, so it's very easy. I don't need to think about it too much. Again, I'm using a 4mm hook. This is one of my Pedro's Plaques ones, so it's like a paint splatter. I really like her hooks, and I believe it's from Iron Lamb. Yes, so it's called the Granny Rocks jumper from Iron Lamb. She also has a Granny Go Round, which is different to this one. This one starts bottom up. The Granny Go Round starts neck down. So there are two ways of construction for a granny stripe jumper. So I thought I would get a move on, basically. A friend of mine from the shop, she has made several Granny Go Rounds for herself and her nieces, I think. So I want to try and get this done. But yes, that is the first whip that has actually had quite a significant amount of work on it compared to when I picked it up. Because, like I said, I only had the ribbon and a few rows, which I then pulled back. So, to get 40 odd rows in there, it's pretty good going, I think, considering the other projects I've got going on. Yes, so the next one I have been working on. Now, I tried to work on it, and I ended up I had a migraine for the second half of half term. I'd worked on this a little bit before, but I was just trying to do a couple of rounds every now and then. And I think I literally did 2 rounds and I was like, my head hurts far too much, I'm going to bed. So, yes. It's got bigger since the last time I showed it to you, but it's not, I mean, it's almost, I would say it's almost baby blanket size, but I don't want it to just be baby blanket size. So I'm going until I've run out of yarn, but I have since picked up another ball of mint as well. There was an issue with this one when it arrived at the shop. I think it's either fallen apart or it was stuck to, no, I think it was stuck to the bag. So it had glue, plastic in the yarn, so I can cut that out. That's not an issue for me. And someone has given me a ball of lemon as well. And I have the spearmint to do a border. So I'm only going to need white and the peach, which I think that's what I have of peach, which might get me the next 2 rounds of this colour. And then where's that's the lemon I have at the minute, which is why I needed another one. But I still have quite a lot of and that's my mess of a mint. So I still have quite a lot of the white, actually. So yeah, that's quite a nice one to work on when I don't want to think about anything. And that might come with me on a few trips that are coming up this month. Because I don't have to think about it. So I might have to get to a point where I am starting new balls of yarn for all 4 colours. Otherwise, I could potentially run out. Yeah, so I'm going to get another white and another peach just to make sure I've got enough to go a little bit bigger. But yeah, it's coming on nicely. I have got my stitch markers in it. It's just got a little watermelon at the minute, which I think came free with a magazine. And I'm using a Crochet Society hook, which is a 4mm. And I leave my hooks in the bags with the projects because otherwise I have no idea what I'm using. And what I have found is that my tension changes depending on what style hook I'm using. So I need to make sure I'm consistent and using the same hook all the way through a project. Hence why it stays in the bag. I did also have a pair of scissors in there, which are probably hiding or I've taken them out. I will double check. That is the pair of scissors that I lost at Christmas. They were in this bag. So I need to check that they are still in this bag before I take it anywhere. Just on the off chance that I won't be able to take, that I forget scissors, basically. Yeah. So anyway, yes. I have my granny square blanket going on. It's very therapeutic. I never thought I'd be that person that would just make a granny square blanket, but It's very therapeutic and I am enjoying it. So it's just one of those things where if I'm working on a really complicated project, I get to put that down for a little while and work on something really simple. And it just brings my mind back to the present and yeah, basically. Anyway, moving on, shall we? The yarn in that is King Cole Cherished. And yeah, Cherished, yeah. So Cherish is the multi-tonal, multicoloured versions of Cherish. Cherish is all the solids. I have to keep reminding myself which one is which. But yes, I'm using that yarn for that one. My next one, I don't actually know if I've put any work into this, and if I have, it's probably been 1 or 2 rounds. But I have my Granny Hexie in teal, which is, my hook is all caught up in it. Stylecraft Special DK. I have joined the second ball, and I have put a stitch marker in. So look, I have done 1 round. Nothing to see here. 1 round because my stitch marker is on the round below. That is it. So no point showing you that one because I haven't done anything on it. But the second ball has been started. So I'm just going to go until I run out of the second ball on that one, I think, which should get me to my 24 rounds. And then I'm going to start on the other half because that's only one side. Easy peasy though. I'm hoping to put up a tutorial for that soon. So when I start the other half of that, I will sort out a tutorial of it all in one colour. And I will try and do a tutorial of a changing colour as well. So there are a couple of options. Next, I have in my, what I call my beginner's bag now, because I take this to every beginner's workshop that I teach. It is a Tula Pink Pandas bag from Gem of the Little Grey Girl, and I have my Critter Cow pin badge on there, who is really sweet. I can't remember who he is from, but I got him at Comic-Con, so he's in here. And inside I also have my new mini bag, which matches, is a little drawstring bag to go with this one. There is a ball of yarn in there, which I'll show you in just a second, for an upcoming project. But in here, what I like to do is keep all of my samples together. And we were teaching, well, I was teaching granny squares the other day. So I started a little granny square. And actually, I really like the colours. It's very simple, red, yellow, black. But it reminds me of like tulips. So I'm tempted to make a lot more of them. And then be really mad and join them all in black yarn. Yeah. Yeah, so another granny square. I'm just using DK Special Stylecraft Special DK in citron, lipstick and black, because I've got them in my bag. But yeah, I really enjoyed working on that, and my students enjoyed working on theirs as well. So yeah, I might do some more. I've said to them that if they make a few more, I will show them how to join them. So what I might do is sit down and make more of these and show them how to join them together. And I've suggested we do a few different techniques. So I might try, what I generally show people is the slip stitch method, because that's my preferred choice. But there's also the crochet them together method, and there's the join as you go method. So I'm going to see how many squares they've brought with them next time, and then I'll show them one method, and if they have more the next week, then I'll show them a different method. We will see. But at the moment, it is living in this bag, and I have another Crochet Society 4mm hook. This one is Lemons, which came in the Cottons bag box, so that is in there. And I don't have it with me, but another thing I tried was the virus blankets, because some of our students wanted to have a go at that. I'd never made one before, and to be honest, it's not my cup of tea. But I did have a go so that people could see what it looks like. So I picked up a random ball of white. I thought it was Aran, but it might actually be chunky. And just started making, basically, I think I got 7 rounds in. I don't remember. But I don't have it with me. It's at the shop because we use it as a working sample there. So That's another one I have tried to have a go at. And I have 2 more whips left to show you. And I have been waffling for quite some time now. Right. I must be mad because apparently I don't learn my lesson when it comes to crochet alongs. If you remember this time last year, Helen and I both started the Postcards with Love Blanket by Coastal Crochet. Neither of us have finished it. And I decided that I was going to do the Coronation Blanket this year, even though that one's not finished. Now, I gave myself the challenge of getting this finished by Coronation Day, which is in 7 days. No, it's not. 6 days, because today is Monday. Coronation is on Sunday. And I have not finished week 3. But I'm going to show you where I'm up to. That's where we're at. Okay? Now I only have 2 more rounds of granny stripe to do. Or granny round to do. After this red one. To finish week 3. I have done most of the small gems for weeks 4. Yeah, week 4. I think I have 2 colours left to do. However, people have said they're running out of the purple. And I've not used any yet in this blanket. I've only done the squares for the gems. So I'm a bit concerned that I may run out of purple. Because there's also a bobble round to come, which is purple. Anyway, I have been using my Folkestone Harbour yarn Coronation stitch markers to go with this blanket so that I can keep track of where I'm at all times. The yarn is Sirdar Hayfield Bonus in DK, and I'm not really a fan. Now, I thought I was fine with this yarn because I've used the Bonus Chunky before, but actually the Bonus Chunky feels a lot softer. This feels quite starchy, if that's the right word. So there's not an awful lot of drape in it. And it's very stretchy. I've got a saggy middle, unless I stretch and block it. So it's going to need a good blocking when it's done. But yes, I have enjoyed it. I have just been ill whilst trying to work on it, so it's not got as far as I would like it to. So week 2 stopped here. No, week 2 stopped here. This last blue one before the green. So I've only got 2 more rows to do for week 3. Week 1 stopped on the blue row here. So it's getting there, but can I finish it in a week? I don't know if I can. Or less than a week. Because I have weeks 4 and 5 to do, and I've only actually printed week 4, so I need to print week 5 as well. And it is a 6-week project, so I need to print week 6 as well. Yeah, I'm going to do the 2 rounds today just to get week 3 done and out of the way. I am using another Pedro's Plaques hook, but this time it is my dragon hook, which is this one, which I got in I think October, November time. So it's a nice golden autumnal dragon, which I love. Again, it's a 4mm hook, and yeah, it's coming along. So you may see this finished, or you will see this finished next month. It's getting a bit big for me to take it places though to work on it, so I am now only working on this at home, I think, and working on my Tunisian elsewhere. So whilst I'm on the conversation of Tunisian, because that is my last whip I need to show you, let's fold this one and pop this one away, and I will show you how I'm getting on with the Tunisian crochet, because it's not your standard Tunisian crochet. Yeah, we like to do things properly around here. Nothing's ever easy, is it? Right, we are doing the Zuri blanket. So, in this folder, I have the Coronation blanket at the front. And if I flip to the back, I have the Zuri blanket, which is Tunisian. So hang on, who is the... So the Coronation blanket is made by Anita. That's her handle on Instagram. It is a crochet along with Serdar. And should now be finished, but apparently not. For me, yes, the Zuri blanket is by Knitter Knotter. Who is Arunima Goal. And there are 25 squares to do. So it's 1 square released every 2 weeks. So it started in January. So there's 1 every 2 weeks, which makes 25. I don't know how, but it makes 25. So square 1 was this one. Square 2 is this one. Square 3 is that one. And square 4 is this one. So my friend at the shop has already done square 4 and it looks really pretty. She's doing hers in the grey and white as you see in the pictures. However, I am using Deramores Studio Special DK. Might be Special Studio DK. Now that is a discontinued yarn because I am stupid. I thought I would just do like random colours. Because I thought that would be quite nice. But then I want the base to be all the same colour. So the cream. And I only have 1 ball of each colour. So I have been looking for cream or ivory as a background colour. Because I used the ivory in a different blanket. So I do not have a lot of it. And I'm not very good at mixing yarns in the same project. Unless it's things like this. So, because it's Tunisian, I want the yarns to be the same. Now, I have not been able to find any more cream yarn. I found more of the blue that I was using. But I have not found any cream. And I am really hoping I can get 5 squares out of 1 ball of cream yarn. Because I've been trying to weigh it after every square, so I know exactly how much yarn I'm using. I did find white on eBay, so I ordered it along with the blue from the same person, and then got an email saying she can't find it, and sent me a different white instead, which I didn't want. And that is the Essentials DK from Deramores. So I am on the hunt. If you know of anyone who has Deramores Special Studio DK yarn in cream or ivory, please get in touch because I cannot find any. Now the issue was it was the last yarn that Deramores brought out before they went under and were taken over by Love Crafts. So they discontinued that yarn. You can now only get the original Studio DK. Not the Special Studio DK, which is softer. So, I am in a predicament. And I don't know what is going to happen. Because I'd like to do this blanket, all 25 squares of it. But I'm 3 squares in and I am running out of yarn very quickly. So, yeah. I wonder if that's another reason people are giving me cream yarn for this blanket. I don't know how the Stylecraft special will work with the Deramores special. I guess we might have to find out. Anyway, let me show you the squares that I have finished. Now, apologies in advance if there's any rustling, because they are in the folder that I just showed you. And I will need to put them back into that folder as well, so I don't forget which order they are in. Not that I really should forget which order they're in, because I've got the pictures. Anyway, this is my square 1. So, this is square 1, which has got like a zigzag step design in it, and the border is the same on all the squares. Now what you'll see is that it's rolling, because that's what Tunisian likes to do. It's like garter stitch and knitting. It will roll until it's blocked and sewn together with something. So that is square 1 of the Tunisian blanket that I'm working on anyway. Like I said, it won't stop curling. But yeah, that's square 1. Then I have square 2, which is not quite a square. They're becoming rectangles. Yeah, so they are going to need blocking to get. This one is more like a brick design, so they're all slightly different. Then we have square 3, which I think my tension is evening out because this one is a little bit smaller, but it's still a rectangle. So this is square 3, and this one's not curling as much actually, which is little boxes. So yeah, I've started square 4, which is in this one. This is my painted bag from last year or the year before. So all I have so far is the first part of the border at the bottom, and I'm now ready to move into the pattern for the square. So I've got a jumper stitch marker on there. I'm using my 6mm Tunisian hook, which came in Crochet Society magazine. So it's purple. It has a little bag to hold it in. I believe myself and Lorraine are using the exact same hook. So, but she's a lefty, I am a righty. So we're having fun trying to work out what each one of us is doing. So yeah, so that is my Zuri blanket, and that is it for whips. Now I pulled out a little bag that I want to show you, didn't I? So in my little drawstring bag, you may remember I got a luxury Christmas yarn hamper before Christmas, and I opened it after Christmas in it betwixtmas because I wanted to save it. And I have now caked up the yarn that came in that box. It is called Merry Christmas. I love the greens and the reds, and I have tried to do it so I have a center pull, so I can pull from the middle. So we'll see how that works, because at the minute I've got one end here and one end here, but I don't know which one's which, because it started, oh no, that's just the odd tail. I think that is the middle pull, and this one is the bit that fell off the end. That it was the tie used to tie it together as a skein. So it's from Siobhan's Crafts, and it is going to be a hat. This one. So I don't know if it's going to work. It is like all to a whirl. Is it all to a whirl? All of a whirl crochet hat pattern. By Robin of the Crafty Bird. So there's some more on the back there. So it kind of spirals around the head. That's what I wanted for this skein, and it did come with a pom-pom. So I have a nice big pom-pom, which is actually from the Crafty Bird, to put on the top. So I'm going to enjoy working on that. That is going to be my mini project now. Yeah, I think the pattern is for Aaron though. Yeah, and I'm using DK, so I'm going to have to make it a little bit longer to get the brim around the head. But I'm looking forward to working on that. Now that I've got it all caked up and ready to go, I've not got really much an excuse. I just need to work out what hook I'm going to use for that. And then I can get working on a new hat. Not that I need a hat anymore because it's getting warmer, but it is there ready to pick up when I need something small to work on. So you never know, that could be my travel crochet. Don't know. We'll see. There's a lot going on. Okay, finally we are into acquisitions. And I only have 3. So I have pom-poms that I mentioned that I got from Amazon, which I have decanted into one of my old project bags. But there are so many pom-poms. They're not very big though. They're quite little. Yeah. And they've got little elastic loops on them. So they need to be sewn in. Got little elastic loops. But you know what? There's all different colours in there. This is the white one I was on about. It's got grey tips. Can we see the grey? So I don't know whether to try and give it a haircut or just to use it. So I'll leave that one out for me to play with later. But yeah, so I've got those ready for making gifts and things like that. They were quite inexpensive. I bought them from Amazon, and they will get used at some point as well, to make some gifts. So yeah, that's one thing. I'm trying to prep very early, aren't I, for Christmas and birthday presents and stuff. The next thing that I got, actually I'm going to show you this one last. The next thing I got was some yarn from Gemma of the Midnight Diary, who's having a little bit of a destash. I think they had car trouble, I can't remember, so she had a little destash. And I picked up another of a cautionary tale, which is by Dye Candy, which was one of the Perth Collab Club yarns from last year. Might know that was the first year, I believe. Now I already have one of these, so I thought I'd get another one and I could put them both together into something of their own. So that would be quite nice to do. And finally, I have a new book that I bought. Now, I originally pre-ordered this on Amazon back in January time because it was due for release early March. Now, it was released in March in America, and Amazon did not get any of that stock in the UK because it sold out immediately. I don't know. Anyway, this is by Megan Lapp, who is a crochet designer. And it is everything mythical and magical. And I love it. This book is amazing. There are so many pictures on how to do stuff. So many amazing step-by-step instructions. Anyone would be able to make an item from this book. It is that good. I love it. I haven't made anything yet, but I have flicked through every single page of this book to see what is in it. And I love it so much. There are cute critters, look, at the front of the book. So you've got little animals. If you consider yourself to be like a beginner or intermediate, you have the smaller versions of everything. And then you have the big ones. And the big ones each have their own sort of section. But the pictures in here are just so detailed. There we go. Standard sized creatures. That's a unicorn, a water dragon, and a kraken. That's just 3. So the first one is the dragon that's featured on the front of the book. Then you have so many different versions. So if you wanted to add more fins or more tails, then you can. If you wanted different eyes, you can add those different wings. There's about 20 odd pages just from that one. That one looks like a cobra. It's a different tail option. There's so much in this book. I was blown away when I saw it. You could have it seated, you could have it standing. Let me just check. So 149 is the next pattern. And the dragon starts at page 89. That's 50 pages. Over 50 pages. That's about 60 pages just of pattern for one design. That's how detailed it is and how many options there are. The next one is the kraken. And there are I think there's 2 different options for this one as well. Because you can have the little suckers underneath or not. Then you have another, what is this one? Feathered serpent. then there's an owl griffin. Now, if you're into D&D, or you've seen the D&D film, or you've watched Critical Role and Vox Machina, does that not look like an owlbear without the wings? So if I made one without the wings, that would be an owlbear, right? So that's on my list. So we have the owl griffin, which again has options. Then there's a phoenix. There are so many options for this phoenix, honestly. Different wings, different ways of doing the feathers. It's mad, absolutely mad. And the last one in here is unicorn. And again, there's about 4 options for the unicorn. You could have different mane, different horn. It's so detailed. I love this book. And I can see myself making quite a lot of the items in this book. Now, go and buy it. If you're into this sort of thing, go and buy it. Amigurumi is amazing in here. But also, she has another book coming out in the fall, which I think is actually coming out, I want to say September. This is Impkins, Crochet Impkins. Because look how adorable they are. They are so cute. So I have pre-ordered that one as well. But yeah, I wanted to show you that because look at the thickness of this book. But yeah, it's amazing. Look, there's so much in there, and the pictures really are so detailed. But yeah, I'm in love with this book. I'm so glad that I tried to find other places to get it from, instead of waiting for Amazon to get a move on. I ended up getting this one from the Book Depository, which is now sadly closed. But they were fulfilling any order that came in before they closed. So I got that from there. It arrived a few days ago. And I love it. But my father has also purchased one from Search Press, which hasn't arrived yet. So what I might do, because I will effectively have 2 copies of this book. I basically couldn't wait and ordered another one myself. Because I was greedy. And what I want to try and do is do a giveaway for one of these copies. So what I want to do though is make something from the book first. So it may be a little while, but there is a giveaway on the horizon for a copy of this book by Megan Lapp. So yeah, I will let you know all the details for that when that happens. And I think that is everything that I need to show you for this episode. And I said I would talk about life stuff. Now, in terms of myself, work is going great. I love my job. Yeah, but I don't know if I mentioned before that my husband was going for an interview, not in this country. So my husband is a print artist and has been working as a technician in a somewhat local college here. But he has been trying to get into the universities for the similar position for well over a year. He finished his doctorate last year. So he was told of a position that was going in Glasgow School of Art. He went up to Glasgow for that interview because I told him he'd be stupid not to, and he got that job. So my husband is moving to Glasgow in 4 weeks' time, leaving myself and my son here. Now, it's been a huge thing for us to come to terms with, the fact that we are not going to be in the same space or even in the same country. But someone did say to me, at least he's in the same continent, or at least attached to the same island. Yeah, it's been a real struggle to try and come to terms with that. There has been tears on both sides. He is worried about me. I am worried about me. Everyone else seems to be worried about me. But I have to remind myself that I have done this before. I have looked after my home on my own before, because I've been here for 17 years now, so I can do it. It's the relationship aspect for me that I think I'm worrying about, because I'm not going to see him. But as they say, it makes the heart grow fonder, and we just need to arrange who's going up and down, and when, and how regularly, and things like that, so we do actually get to see each other. But yeah, so he has to be there for at least 2 years, which gives me 2 years to sort out myself down here and decide whether I'm going to go up with him. I think the end game, or the end goal, is to move to Glasgow permanently. So yeah, it is a big change. It's a big life change. All my family are here. All my friends are here. And I don't want to feel isolated and cut off from everything. I think that's my main worry, my main fear. But obviously his fear is that he's just disappearing. He's going off to work. Yeah. So it's very scary for both of us. And in some aspects I feel like I'm being selfish by not wanting him to go and feeling left behind. But at the same time, if he doesn't go, this is a really good job for him to do. And he would be stupid not to go. So I have told him he's going. And yeah, I have 4 weeks. So my next podcast may not be from here. Because I want to go up with him, because he starts in May half term. He starts on the 30th of May, which is my half term. So I have the time off, which means I can go up and try and find us a house. Yeah, so my podcast may come from Glasgow next month or this month, but we shall see. I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, I could be in Glasgow in 2 years. I mean, thankfully we do have friends up there, and there is a huge yarn community up there, as I'm sure people who may watch this will tell me. So if you know anything about Glasgow, what's there, what yarn shops are there, what yarny community there is up there, or any knit natter groups, for example, please put them in the comments down below so I can have a look. Basically, I'm going up in that week to have a look at what I can find, who I can find, where everything is, how far away stuff is. And yeah, so it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But yeah, anyway, that is my life news. Yeah, so if I'm not as bubbly, that might be why. Don't know. But yeah, I've got a huge community behind me here that are helping me and reassuring me that I'm not stupid, he's not stupid, and just getting on with it, basically. But yeah, I thought I'd tell you guys, because changes are a coming, and I'm not particularly happy with them, but it is what it is, as my friend says. So, after that, what are my plans? My plans for May are, firstly, because I have them written down, that's why I've just looked down, to finish the Coronation Blanket. I was giving myself a week, but I don't think it's going to get done in a week. We'll see. So, finish the Coronation Blanket. I want to put 4 more squares in the Zuri Blanket, so that's 1 square a week, which is doable because it takes me a day to do 1 square, so, you know. I want to border the Lucky Puppy blanket, and I'd like to finish the 1/2 of my Hexie cardie that I started. Those are my main projects that I want to work on. It'd be lovely if I could finish something else, like the Granny Square blanket in the Cherished yarn, or make the hat. I don't know, but I have four goals for May, so I think that's pretty good going. That's reasonable. It's not too much to expect from me or from myself. So yes, that is it for April. Yeah, hopefully there's not been too much background noise. Hopefully I've been my usual bubbly self, even though it's been a bit weird and it's very scary. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you'd like to see more, please hit the subscribe button, or the bell button, I think, gives you notifications for when I pop up new content. And if you want to come back, I'll see you again at the end of May. Anyway, happy crafting. Take care. Bye.